Hello, this is Hobo, and I'm here with my very first Roman commentary. So I'm doing this a little bit differently than other commentaries you've probably seen. Instead of recording these as the fights are happening, I'm actually going to go back and watch the video and commentate as I watch over it. That way you don't get just... I have a tendency to just swear during fights and not really I'm not good at commentating as I go, so instead I'm going back and looking at these, and hopefully this gives us a better idea of what actually is going through my head and what I'm actually trying to do instead of just my wild thoughts that occur mid-fight. Because those typically aren't very constructive, actually. So let's see how it goes. Alrighty here, so this is actually take two on my build. Gonna go through my build first. Last time I was recording, I'd forgotten to actually turn audio recording on. So you're gonna get this again, or I'm gonna have to do it again. You guys will be hearing it for the first time, but here we go. I use dagger, pistol, short bow as my two sets. I'm going to start off going through my utilities and why I chose them, and then I'll go into the actual trait and my runes and sigils and why I chose them. So, to start off with my heal, I use withdraw. I just prefer it over channeled vigor. The additional evade frame, the fact it doesn't have any cast time and is instant, is pretty great. And then you can combo with steel, you can use a bunch of things, so it's just great and allows you to be able to kite people better overall. Channeled Vigor is a perfectly acceptable change to the build. If you like it, I think that's a perfectly acceptable choice. I just personally don't enjoy it as much, and everyone has their own little tweaks to the build itself. So um, then for utilities, I use Fish Flurry, I use Blinding Powder, Shadow Step, and Basilisk Venom. I'll just go through these one by one, and I'll talk through just why I chose which ones I chose. So Fish Flurry, additional damage, which is great, and it really helps you get that additional burst down. You open up with Basilisk, you're able to land that Fist Flurry. It doesn't even matter if you get Palm Strike off, you've put them on the back foot, and that allows you to be more aggressive and to exploit the openings you've created by putting them on the back foot. A lot of people panic too when they get this open on them, which, um, you know, I think is great. There's a number of other options. I kind of view Fish Fury as the least necessary aspect of the build out of all the build armor and everything. You can use either Sigil of Agility, or you can take another Stun Break and Reflexive Strike, which I think is perfectly fine. Both excellent options, and I go back and forth a lot of the time about whether or not I'm making the right choice, but I just love Fish Flurry. It's just part of my build I really enjoy having there. Blinding Powder, just great synergy with Dagger Pistol overall. You can blast the stealth, get nice stealth out. That has such great utility. Stealth allies, stealth yourself when you're about to stomp, stealth yourself when you're trying to get a res. It's just perfect. Openings, escapes, it all comes together with that skill. Shadow Step, I think it's in every single thief build now. That 1200 range Shadow Step away or return cleanses those contis, breaks stuns, allows you to create space, allows you to close gaps. It's just a great ability overall. Now for my elite, I use the Venom. I think that at this point in the game, it's superior to Impact Strike. Impact Strike has its uses, and it does give you those opportunities to make those MLG plays where you get those stomps in, and you can tell mom, get the camera. Like I just stomped this guy instantly. I had a 5k crit into an instant stomp. It was perfect. But in longer fights and longer drawn out, those outnumbered fights, Basilisk Venom, especially with the change to make it unblockable, just it has an edge over that physical ability that they gave us, and I think it's just better overall. It has more uses. I think that you end up, or at least I ended up saving that elite just for going for stomps. And Basilisk Venom I use for openings, I use them to stop reses, I use them for a number of things. It just has more utility, which I think is good for the build. Now to go into the equipment itself, I'm not gonna. I use, it's a little embarrassing. I'm using a mixture of Ascended and Exotic. I'm too lazy to PV or pay my way to get maxed out gear. It's fine. I make it work, and I'm guessing that most World v Worlders make it work as well. So I use all Berserker armor. Um, it's in the build below. I also use Superior Rune of Pack. I think Pack is great because it gives you 100% uptime on Fury, which, you know, who doesn't like more crit chance? And it also gives it to allies, and along with that, it just stacks so much power onto your build that, look at that power value I have. I have almost 2.7 thousand power, and that's without any stacks down here. I don't think you can complain about at all about those runes. Helps out your group, helps out you. Everyone's happy. Um, Honestly, you could use so many different runes with dagger pistol builds. I implore you, just don't use runes of durability. I hate those runes. I think ANET should take them out of the game. I've I don't think that they should have been allowed. I think they're way too passive, but you know what? They're in, so we'll deal with them. Just please don't use them as thief. For the love of God, I just hate those runes. Onto my weapons. So like I said, I'm shortbow, dagger, pistol. From my shortbow, I use superior sigil, bloodlust, more power, more kills, easy. Energy, once again, it's one of those things where you swap to it. A lot of people view it as a defensive weapon, and it does have a lot of defensive utility. So having that additional dodge is never a bad thing. You always have that. You swap in the short bow, you can instantly dodge, create some space, have some time to breathe. Onto my dagger, I use Superior Sigil of Air. That's just superior for single target burst. You can also use blood. You can use fire. Those are really the two I'd recommend, at least if you're trying to mimic my stats. Just because you have such high crit chance that you can really take advantage of that. Next on to really my favorite sigil in the game, at least for this build, Superior Sigil of Draining. Steal life when interrupting an enemy. Man, this sigil is why I PvE'd for Heart of Thorns. I didn't do it for any other reason. I did it for this sigil, for this build. It's perfect. Synergizes so well. Gives you additional sustain. Gives you additional damage. It's perfect. If you don't want PvE, or don't have the time, or just want to get out there and do it, once again, fire or blood, perfectly acceptable for this build. Onto my trinkets, I use a Cavalier's backpiece with a Berserker's Jewel. That's just because I'm too lazy to get an Ascended one. I think it works fine, so, I'm probably the wrong... I don't min-max my build. I'm the wrong person to talk to about that, so... as for the rest, I believe this is straight Berserker, and then these are Marauder, so get a little bit more vitality in my build. You can see without food, I sit down pretty low, just under 14k. It works. I think you're welcome to add more vitality to the build. You won't lose a whole lot. You're kind of hitting the upper thresholds for both precision and power in the build, so I think that it really just comes down to, are you dying a lot? If you're dying a lot, just add more vitality. I wouldn't add toughness. I think that really vitality is better for this build overall, or for thieves overall. Then I'm going to go into traits. I use Trickery, Deadly Arts, and Daredevil. Whoops, okay, moused over the wrong thing there. As far as Trickery goes, I use Throw of the Crime, I use Bountiful Theft, and Sleight of Hand. All three benefit Steal. Steal, I love it. I love that ability, and having more things on top of it is even better. So in this one, some people take the haste. You'll get the benefit from Thrill of a Crime 3 times more often than you'll get the benefit from haste. I think it promotes gimmicky gameplay. You just have, if you're just trying to gank someone, get out, yeah, haste is going to be working just fine for you. But if you're trying to do more prolonged fights, Thrill of the Crime is just going to constantly come out ahead, in my opinion. It allows you to have Bear Burst, not as good as haste, but it does help out. Down to Bountiful Theft. some people like Trickster. When it comes to DP builds, I think you really got to use Bountiful Theft. The ability to steal out that stability, which it prioritizes, so great, especially since it synergizes with the number of interrupts you have. And then Sleight of Hand synergizes very well with Bountiful Theft, and just perfect ability, reduces steal cooldown. If you're using a power build, it's really kind of the best option you got. So I'd use Sleight of Hand. There's really no choice in this build for the Grandmaster there. You can make a case for Trickster, you can make a case for Haste, but these are the traits I take. Okay, so on to Deadly Arts. I take Mug, Panic Strike, Improvisation. For these first two, Mug and Panic Strike, I can't really make a case for any of these other traits. As far as the Grandmaster, I use Improvisation. I think that it's superior over Executioner because it just adds more sustain. Executioner is great for, once again, it's great for that ganking playstyle where you get in, get out. But if you're looking to kind of have more drawn out fights, the fact that it will recharge your skills, allow you to use stolen abilities twice, just makes it superior in its utility, in my opinion. Executioner is great for damage, and that's it. On to Daredevil, I use Havoc Mastery, Pulmonary Impact, and Dash. Havoc Mastery, additional damage on when you're within a range, so additional backstep damage, additional cleave damage with daggers. It's just fantastic in my opinion. You can use either one of these two other ones work, but since I'm not taking any, well, I'm taking Fist Fury, but I think that overall this has more synergy with my build because I want to be up close and personal and dealing that damage, getting it out quickly. So on to the next one. I take Pulmonary Impact. If you're doing Dagger Pistol, it's the way to go. If you're using Sword Dagger, this is just fine. Escape is absolution, but with Dagger Pistol, Pulmonary Impact is the way to go. That additional damage is just fantastic. On the Dash, I use Dash. You can make the case for Bound. I think that Bound doesn't have great synergy if you're in stealth already, and then the fact that Dash gives you the ability to create space and kite so much easier because it removes all those conditions and gives you swiftness, just makes it better, makes it superior. Alright, so now that I've gone through the build, we're going to go into just a very short commentary that I've put together. It's my first one I've ever done, so hopefully you guys enjoy it. Alrighty, so I'm going to lead off with this first clip. It's pretty straightforward. I noticed that the sentry has marked 2 people attacking it, and then decide I'm going to try and burst him down. I instantly open on this thief and down him really quickly. I'd seen him before, so I knew it was pretty squishy, and instantly opened on him. Second guy's a thief, and to be honest, he just doesn't play very well, which makes it pretty easy on me to just wrap him up, and then I just use Shortbow to get some bloodless stacks as we wrap up these 2 kills. Pretty easy 1v2 to be honest, so. Alrighty, so for this next fight, I'll be fighting up against a Revenant, and I knew that he wasn't going to engage me without the camp, so I draw the camp aggro. I try and interrupt his first skill here, that Herald Leap, but I'm not able to somehow. I don't know how that actually happened. He uses Sword 3, I use my dodges, and then instantly stealth, so he doesn't actually hit me with that Sword 2. He has a great reveal right there, actually, but luckily at this point, I kind of had the edge and was able to land those slows on him, and then it's a simple Fist Fury into an interrupt into a down, and then just take out the scout and then go back to stomp with the blind field so he can't interrupt me, of course. So this is going to be another clip up against a Revenant. I actually knew this guy was Condi going in, which gives me a pretty big edge because I approach it differently between power and Condi revs. So I get taunted here when I use my steal. So just quickly step away before he has a chance to react. I use my withdraw there just to create some space, just so I have a little bit more space to open back up into him. And then, honestly, against Condi revs, I just try and focusing on stealthing when I need to and just hitting interrupts, because they don't really have great ways to deal with your interrupts. They have that stability on dodge, but besides that, they don't have a lot, which makes it pretty easy for me to just land my interrupts, and results in a fairly straightforward kill on this Condi rev. Alrighty, so this one's just going to be me trying to one-shot this thief. I don't succeed in doing it, which kind of disappointed me, but still get a nice opening there and force him to use his cooldowns, which leads to a pretty straightforward kill. He gets an interrupt on me, but it's not too bad. So in this one here, I gotta fight against a Herald again. They're all over the place. This guy seems to be using a frontline World v World build. He's using that Malik stance, which, since he's a power rev, doesn't really give him a lot. And then, once again, like I mentioned before, they don't have a ton of access. Just land my interrupt there, get a good backstab, down them, go for the stomp. This one is another me trying to insta-give someone. I'd seen this ranger, I knew they were a trapper, just try and insta-give them, get good damage, know there, get an interrupt on it, just to make sure he can't get his heal off instantly while I ported back and ended up downing them pretty easily, and then of course the pet interrupts me, but I get the stomp off. So this one here is actually a little bit of a longer fight. I knew that there's two in the camp, and I saw this Mesmer had separated themselves, so once again my strategy was to just try and insta-give the Mesmer, and I didn't succeed again, which, you know, I keep failing at this, but it happens. So I ended up downing him, go for the stomp, and I think I have the timing right, and I do, but he's ported far enough away, and unfortunately the Ranger's able to get the res, which puts me on the back foot because I've expended so much initiative, but I'm able to reopen on that Mesmer, get once again good damage. There he mows me, and I decided, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to go for the down. I get the down, but I get knocked back, and I can't really do anything about this res at this point. He got a perfect port off. He gets so lucky with these ports. And then you see right there, I mess up with my Basilisk Vesm, which really disappoints me, but it happens. And then, once again, I'm just too low to go in and get these stomps on these downs, so the Ranger gets back up, and once again, I'm on the back foot, but I'm able to get my heal off, and I try and land some just cool combos on these guys, but I'm really just failing. I think I'm going to lose this fight now, but I'm able to get down below, get great damage onto the Ranger, down him, and then when I knew the Mesmer's going to go for the res, get a nice interrupt on him, and then just cleave them down, both of them, and then just go for the stomp on both, which made it into a not too bad 1v2, although there's pretty dicey with the number of reses they were able to get. Alrighty, so I think this will probably be the last clip. I'm just trying to keep it short for the commentary. It's my first time, and these were the clips I had on hand. So I have two Rangers this time. I stealth up so I can close the gap. I see they're both longbow, so I need to close that gap and get some good damage off on this Ranger, get a nice interrupt, and he's pretty much down already. And when I go for the stomp, I'm able to avoid that knockback there by porting away, which was kind of lucky on my part, but I was going to port away regardless. Right here, I'm trying to line of sight. I don't want to fight him without any line of sight, so get some stealth off, enables me to close the gap again, steal in, Fist of Fury, down him, boom, another 1v2. Just make sure I get the stomp off, and there we go. Okay, so that's the end of my first commentary. I wanted to just apologize to you guys for saying alrighty so much. I really was trying to just ad-lib these as I go, and clearly it's something I need to work on. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and if you guys enjoy it, I'll try and do more of these. They do take a little bit more time, so hopefully you guys won't mind that as long as it's quality content. So thanks for watching.